welcome to the Nasboys podcast. Now, did you know that on the final lap of Sunday's NASCAR Cup Series event at Martinsville, Ross Chastain ran a lap time of 18.845 seconds, which is 100.482 miles an hour. That is quicker than the track record for the Cup Series. And the fastest lap ever recorded in a NASCAR sanctioned event was 18.746 in modified tour qualifying. So, anyways, guys, welcome to the Nasboys podcast. I'm your host, Mike, aka Mike Fan 101, with my good friend and co-host Christian, aka Savage NASCAR.
What I do, Nasboys crew, and yeah, we got a lot to talk about today. A lot of topics. And first off, that fact was by TobyChristie.com. They do a lot of cool stuff for there. Not a paid promo, by the way. But anyways, we got a lot to talk about. We got the Leprechaun. We got Austin Hill. We got Ross Chastain and a bunch more. So let's go ahead and get right into this, shall we?
Hey, a Leprechaun have better been on the thumbnail. Please. I want Ty Gibbs' face photoshopped on a Leprechaun. But anyways, we're going to kick things off with the Xfinity race. What did you think of it?
Well, the Dead on Tools 250 almost lived up to its name, to be real. But basically, it was supposed to be 250 laps, and the end of the race was just carnage. We saw the big wrecks there. Maya Snyder got to wreck big one off of turn 4 a little bit, around 15 to go. If you haven't seen that, here it is.
Crash off turn 4, track is blocked.
Yeah, pile up in turn 4 right now.
Here.
The end took a very optimistic move down into turn number 1, and here you can see gets into the back of Maya Snyder, spinning him. Now, what's gotten everyone's
yeah, just a lot of contact. We saw AJ and Justin Allgaier, they're battling for a final playoff spot.
He got to the back bumper. Up the racetrack, the 7 goes.
This is where the 7 has been so strong, though, on the outside on exit speed. Oh!
In the corner, in.
More contact.
AJ up the track.
Good turn by Allmendinger. He clears the 7, but what will the 7 do? He puts the bumper to him again and again. More contact. They're sideways.
Still inside.
AJ's got an issue.
Clear.
Rear turn.
Tire is flat.
Split you.
AJ Allmendinger after
Side,
all of the
flat
contact.
left rear.
AJ
Caution comes out.
Our final championship 4 spot, they were beating and banging, and AJ had a flat tire. But at the end, AJ showed his sportsmanship. He talked to Justin afterwards, and unlike Ty Gibbs, he wasn't going to complain about getting moved out of the way. But anyways, I feel like that the Xfinity race is pretty solid, and Sheldon Creed, it would have been cool to see him win. It would have been cool to see Brandon Jones win. And we all know what happened. Well, the real NASCAR fans know what happened at the end there with Ty Gibbs and Brandon Jones. Way to treat teammate, Mike. What's your thoughts?
Well, the race seemed like it was pretty good. We did see that big wreck toward the end. I couldn't believe it. It was like a big one, a lot of carnage, which did lead to Austin Hill punching Maya Snyder and dropping him on the ground. If you haven't seen that, here it is.
Well, we'll let you draw your own conclusion. NASCAR has seen this footage in the last 30 minutes and have told us that they are.
That was really weird because Austin Hill is not really the type of guy in my eyes to go over to somebody and just drop them on the ground like that. But I guess that's what short track racing does to you. Now, for what the people really want to hear about is our thoughts on the Ty Gibbs thing. If you haven't seen that, what are you doing? Here it is.
Now, 3 wide isn't going to work through 3 and 4. Sheldon Creed shoving the 19. He's sideways, but he lurches out front. The white flag one more time around. Jones gets tagged by the 54.
Whoa!
Hold on.
Ty Gibbs out front, Jones around, caution comes out.
In my opinion, Ty Gibbs was very much in the wrong here. I lost a lot of respect for the guy. I thought he had like cleaned his act up, but I guess not. Now, first of
Yeah.
all, Now, first of all, I understand that it's his job to go out there and race hard and win. And I think I even called it. I said Martinsville is the type of track in the last episode. I called it. I said Martinsville is the type of track for Ty Gibbs where he can go out and be aggressive and possibly wreck somebody or something along those lines. And he did. But I didn't think he would wreck his teammate like that. I know he bumped Nemechek out of the way, which was technically his teammate, but that was clean. This, on the other hand, this was not clean. This was really, really bad. I can see some people were arguing that he was actually trying to move him out of the way and move him out of the groove, which I guess I could see, but he hit him at such a weird angle that was close to his bumper and his quarter panel, and it looked like he wasn't really lifting. Watching the onboard view, it looked like he didn't really lift off, and he just ended up slamming him and spinning him into the wall, which is, I don't think, a way to treat your teammate. Yes,
No.
I understand that Jones is leaving, but he's still your teammate. You got to race him with respect, be a good team player, and make Joe Gibbs look better, and have two Gibbs cars in the championship four, so it's 2v2 instead of 3v1.
Yeah.
I mean, it's stupid. I mean, we got Noah Gragson in the championship four. He's most likely going to win. Um,
Justin.
Barry, that's two Chevys, and then we got Allgaier. Yeah, I was about to say him. The only good thing that came out of that was Allgaier made it in, and I'm an Allgaier fan. But other than that, it's ridiculous. I feel very bad for Brandon Jones, and Ty Gibbs is an idiot. And one thing that really, really pissed me off
Oh boy.
was he compared himself to Jesus, basically. I'm trying to find the quote. I know
Well,
I sent it to Christian, but you can go
to,
ahead. I just found it.
to be fair, I'll go ahead and talk real quick about my thoughts on what happened with the bump and everything. The final restarts were going to be crazy regardless. There's a lot of bumping, everything.
Right.
Sammy Smith, my pick, was 3 wide at one point on one of the restarts. He ended up getting spun out. Jones did bump Ty at some points in the race, but it wasn't like he did it on purpose. It was because he got hit from the rear, hit him. Ty didn't even seem like he was trying to make a pass. He
Right.
just like
He
going into turn one, he maneuvered behind him and hit him.
right. And
No
one
one's
other
saying
thing.
that was blatant. Everyone knew that was on purpose.
Right.
Ty is literally the biggest spoiled brat in NASCAR and maybe all of NASCAR of all time.
Right. And one other thing, I don't know if I mentioned this or not, because sometimes I forget that I say things. So excuse me if I did say this, but he was in. He was in
Yeah,
off points. It
he
was
was.
advanced. He did not need to race that hard for the win, especially to his teammate. I would understand it if Ty Gibbs was like 11 back, like Allmendinger was, but he was literally in. So it's just stupid, spoiled little Ty Gibbs. And thank you, Grandpa.
Yeah, for sure. And
Now, sorry to interrupt you, but this is the quote that made me upset. He says, Jesus was hated first, and among all the people, that's a big part of it, silencing out the crowd. Okay, I get he's a believer in Jesus. I'm a big believer in Jesus as well, but don't go out there and be comparing yourself to Jesus like that. Or if he wasn't trying to compare himself to Jesus, it sounded like he's trying to compare himself to Jesus that, oh, yeah, we both are silencing out the crowd. No, you are not Jesus, Ty. Just because you get handed a ride because your grandpappy is Joe Gibbs, you are not Jesus.
oh wow. Well, I will say that Gibbs, they seem like they're Christians. They're not. I'm sorry.
Exactly.
But then
Thank you.
again, I may be wrong, and it's kind of hard to talk about topics like this because we don't really talk like about religion much on the show, or not even religion, just beliefs, like our personal beliefs like that. But I will say, I don't think he's trying to compare himself to Jesus. It didn't seem like that by the quote, and I know some people think that's what he was trying to do. I personally don't think he was. But it is kind of odd that he wouldn't include the verse from where that came from, so people
Right.
knew that he wasn't trying to do that.
Yeah,
That
it
would
would have
be
sounded
good.
better.
But then
Yeah.
again, not everyone's going to remember every single verse of the Bible. Not everyone does. You know, it's just not, there is some people that do, which that's great. But anyways, I think that what is he trying to silence the crowd about? Like what? What reason? What are you trying to silence the crowd about? Them booing
Right.
you for being a jerk? No.
Wrecking your teammate, yeah.
Like
No,
what are you trying what message are you trying to prove to the people? That's what I'm saying.
exactly.
Jesus had a good message and the truth. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
With
Jesus,
his word.
exactly.
Ty, is he trying to say that his message is, oh yeah, I to be up here at the top level, I gotta move people, wreck my own teammates, win. You know
Exactly.
what I'm saying? Like it just doesn't make any sense. And I know that may offend some people, but if you are on Ty Gibbs on this, if you're on his side in this, you're probably
Um,
delusional right now. Because I think there's maybe three people that I saw that were on Ty Gibbs' side with this situation. And yes, grandpas can be great, but Ty, I mean, he has talent. We know he has talent. We know he can race people and do well with the equipment he has. Why can't he race, like, try to pass him first?
right.
Like,
I completely agree.
you have to dump him to knock him out. I know he's going to junior motorsports, but I mean, is that the reason? Are you
Is that
scared
justified? Right.
are you scared that junior motorsports is going to dominate the Xfinity series? Tell us the truth.
Exactly. But he's going to Cup, so it doesn't matter.
I
Unless
know,
it's
but it
unless
just
it's Ty Gibbs racing now instead of Joe Gibbs racing
Craig Sickrow was hilarious. Who has seen out here?
and Michael Marutz.
Well,
But
I will
yeah,
say yeah, there's just a lot going on with that. I hope that he learns his lesson and someone takes his chances and win the championship away.
I hope he gets wrecked in the final race. I would love to see it.
And I mean, to be fair, Brendan Jones had a lot of control. And if I were
Yeah.
him, though, would have lost it. I probably would
Yeah.
have tried fighting him. So
Yeah.
big ups to Brandon Jones with his sportsmanship, but he did he did have a couple shots, well deserved shots at Ty Gibbs. But anyways,
Right.
what do people have to say?
Well, first of all, thank you for putting more emphasis on the Jesus quote. I was literally thinking of a lot of the stuff you said. So you definitely took the words out of my head there. And second of all, I have a lot more respect for Brandon Jones with the way he handled it. I think he handled it perfectly. He didn't whine too much about it. He was definitely upset for sure, as anybody would be, but he wasn't making himself look bad too. He handled it with class. He seemed like he was ready to move on. And will we see some retaliation? I hope so. But
Oh,
now,
I just saw something. Jesus, he loves everybody, right? Even his haters. Ty Gibbs
oh
blocks
no,
him on Twitter.
yeah,
Anyways,
valid,
I'm just
valid.
I'm sorry. Let's get away from that. What did the people have to say?
43% said great, 43% said good, 14% said mess okay, and nobody said bad. Silver A Dojo E or Dojo E, I don't know what it is. I drove 10 hours to watch. Any racing after that long is great. Well, that's awesome. I'm glad that you enjoyed your race.
Commitment.
Aaron Din H112 says impressed.
With what?
Exactly. With what?
I'm sorry, I don't know. Anyways, continue.
Okay, so the people saying thoughts on Ty Gibbs wrecking Brandon Jones, Dalton.Malak_9 says, gotta do what you gotta do for the win, but flat out dumping someone for the win is stupid.
Well,
Yes.
it depends on the situation, and we talked about this. If you're already locked into the playoffs and you take your team out like that, that's just ridiculous.
Right.
If it's for example, you're not in the playoffs and you hit someone, move them out of the way, I think that's okay. It's fair game. It's Martinsville.
That's
It's short
fine,
track
yeah.
racing.
But wrecking, that's exactly my thoughts on it. Aaron says I'm shocked. And 60s and 70s NASCAR says ridiculous.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I think that was an accurate statement. And driver of the day?
Driver of the day is a tie between Justin Allgaier and Austin Hill. I don't know why Austin Hill or Justin Allgaier. Where was Austin Hill in all this? And
Nine.
Allgaier was in the middle of like the top 10 like he usually is. Um Man, I gotta look at the results really quick, but you can go first, Christian, while I
Well,
do it.
to be fair, Ty Gibbs did lead the most laps, but he's not the driver today. He does not deserve it. Brandon Jones, he was below the cut line. He had to work his way up there, and he did. He's my driver today, and I know it's a little biased, but it is the truth. He's the driver today. Nicholas Sanchez actually finished 7th at the 48 car. That's kind of crazy. Blaine Perkins got 10th in the 02. Raja Karith was in a wreck at one point. He ended up finishing 12th, but my driver today, obviously, is Brandon Jones.
I think I am also going to agree with Brandon Jones. He was up in the front for a lot of the race that I saw. He led 98 laps, and he's not Ty Gibbs. Ty Gibbs does, however, win an award, the Clown of the Week.
Exactly. And one thing we will say before you get in the cup, if you haven't yet, did you see that picture of the guy dressed up like Jesus?
Oh, yeah.
He had that sign on of like
I'm looking for Ty Gibbs.
Dude, that was so funny, dude.
That is great. Yeah.
That was great. A great idea. But anyways, yeah, Cup. Where do we start? Began the race. It was honestly, I was getting a lot of DMs. I was checking chats and stuff throughout the race, and people were bored, it seemed like. There's people saying, oh, it's just a boring race. Hamlin's leading the whole thing. Only been a couple of changes. Yeah, but it was classic Martinsville, though, because to say it's not like the old days is kind of weird, because it was like the old days. This Martinsville was similar to some of the races in the 90s where there was a lot of cars locked down, and some of the leaders pulled away and were half lap ahead of guy who's in 5th. And Hamlin, I picked him to win. If he would have won, that have been 3 straight picks corrected this week. He seemed like he was the guy to beat all day. Same thing with Chase Elliott. But towards the end, we saw pit stops with Hamlin had a couple slow pit stops towards the end. We saw Bell had fast pit stops, but guys like Harvick would have been up there even higher. Same thing with Logano if their pit stops are a little bit quicker. Yeah, one thing I guess we can talk about real quick before we get into the second half of the race. Tyler Reddick pulled off the track in the A car about almost to the halfway point around lap 200. He pulled off the track and he wasn't feeling well. And from some reports, he had not been feeling well this entire week, which is very concerning. And hopefully he doesn't have any injury, and I'm hoping he doesn't have a concussion.
Well, I saw an update from Bob Pockrass saying that he got evaluated and released from the care center, and they said that they didn't think that it was anything to, okay him or to not be okay to race at Phoenix. But I don't know. That's really concerning and really random for somebody to just get out of the car because their head's hurting or whatever.
Yeah.
And I definitely think that Tyler Reddick might have a concussion. And I believe I said this before, but there's a lot of drivers, in my opinion at least, that we don't realize are running around with concussions. I think a lot of the drivers that we may have seen that have taken rear impacts, like Larson, for example, I'm not saying he has a concussion. I was just using him as an example. I think drivers that have hit the wall rear first definitely have a concussion. And Reddick, I think he might be one of those guys. We have to see if he might not race, but it wouldn't shock me if he has a concussion. And once again, it's really sad, but I'm glad NASCAR is fixing it, so I'm not going to complain about it anymore.
Yeah, well, yeah, it is an unfortunate situation for him. He didn't want to talk to the media, which is understandable. Also going on throughout the race, there wasn't a lot of incidents on the track until like second half, but we did see Austin Dillon pound the wall in turn 3. If you haven't seen that, here it is.
The 3 car hard into the wall in turn 3 and 4.
Caution comes out, and Austin Dillon.
The massive hit, Rick.
Still waiting to see that window net go down for Dillon.
We just had way too much front on it. I don't know what happened there.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, he just didn't seem to have any brakes or a tire go down. I don't remember which one the commentator said, but Rick Allen. But yeah, he did nail the wall pretty hard there. And going to the end of the race, we saw Ross Chastain wasn't above the cut line, and then he fell back a little bit. We saw Chase Briscoe in a must-win situation. They made the call to stay out after the final, after the caution came out late. He stayed out with his tires. You could tell were pretty much worn. Same thing with Brad Keselowski and Cole Custer. Talk about this. I talked about this on the last episode. Cole Custer was someone to look out for, and he was up front the entire race. He was up there in fifth. I was so surprised, but it was pretty cool to see 41 actually do well because it's been so long since he's had a top 10. And he was running really solid in this race. So props to him. Eric Almirola was really good too in the 10 car. And we talked about this too. Logano, he was up front a little bit early. He kind of fell back and worked his way back up again. He ended up finishing 6th in this race. And Bubba Wallace, first race back, finishes 8th. But I guess now we'll talk real quick about towards the end. So we saw what happened where Chastain, he was in front of Hamlin on the restart, and him and Hamlin were bumping a lot. I was worried that Hamlin was going to wreck him, and he didn't, which proves the point that Hamlin wasn't going to do anything. But Chastain's car was just fading. You could tell he was very loose. He couldn't handle the corners well. Hamlin had a fast car all day. He led like 203 laps, if I'm correct. And he was just working his way up. And Byron didn't have quite the car to get up to the top 3 either. But Hendrick Motorsports was strong in this race, but except for Gregson, he had a horrible day. But yeah, towards the end, Bell ended up getting by Briscoe, and we saw Briscoe Keselowski causing roadblock there with their worn tires, and just very wild. Everyone trying to get through the slower cars and a lot of traffic, and then Bell gets the win, which is pretty cool to see Bell win. I mean, I would have rather seen someone else like Custer, for example, but yeah, I'm happy for Bell. I picked him to be in the championship for last year, and he wasn't, but he's definitely had a great year. Very clutch driver, like he told me on the phone. But man, he was crying in that victory, in that interview, and I don't blame him, dude. I don't.
Yeah, it was a pretty good race. Definitely way better than the spring one. We saw a lot of classic moments at Martinsville, like some beating and banging. The leaders did pull away, which was a little boring, but you know, I get that can happen sometimes. Main thing I really want to talk about is that Chastain thing.
Chastain used the wall all the way around this racetrack to race his way into the championship 4.
Oh my God, what a pass. You know what was something that I thought of was Herbie. I know that he didn't go on the fence like Herbie, but it was the equivalent to that. Like, you know, if you guys have never watched Herbie, here's that clip. You know, very, very awesome.
Look out for the crash! Herbie! Herbie's on the fence! Herbie's on the fence!
Awesome movie, by the way. Y'all should go check it out. But yeah, I mean, I did think that, and it was definitely a pretty interesting move, and I'm surprised there's people upset about it. Like I saw there was one guy that said that he's gonna kill somebody or whatever. I'm like, how is that gonna kill somebody? He didn't even touch anybody. He didn't spin anybody out. He's probably not going to get a penalty for that. Some people were even saying it was a penalty. It could have been a penalty. David Land said it was embarrassing. David Land, why don't you go stick to open wheels? How about that?
Ooh. Shots fired by Mike. Oh man. But anyways, I find it crazy that people think that's a penalty. It's stock car racing.
Right.
This isn't F1 or IndyCar where you get penalized for a minute detail, even though there is some penalties now that are very questionable.
Right.
Man, what a W move. I mean, inspirational. I wish I could be wearing the shirt that I have of him right now, but I don't have it with me. But I was so happy because if you watched my reaction to that, I was like, good race, whatever. And then I just see dun 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 dun, dun just flying around. I'm like, what? Just
So
shocked.
random. It was so
Yeah.
random, but so awesome.
And he had to gain 4 spots there, and he passed 5 people on that wall, also breaking the track record. Just zooming, and just beats out Hamlin, the guy who's had beef with almost all year. It's just crazy, man. He can't make it any better than that. And
Yeah.
to give Trackhouse Racing their first ever playoff, championship 4, I should say, contention, that's just insane. And Elliott did get in, which we both, if I'm correct, we both picked Chase Elliott to win
Yeah.
championship. So we'll get into more of that a little bit. But man, absolutely insane. Kyle Larson did think it was embarrassment for the sport. I don't think it was. I think this was. I think
Rare
this
Larson L right there.
a rare Larson L. But anyways, what else do you have to say about that finish?
Well, I pretty much said what I thought about the finish, but I will want to give some props to Christopher Bell. He is very, very clutch. He was on the fence to get into the next round twice, and he had to win the race. He played the format perfectly. Will we see him be clutch next week to win the championship? Maybe not, but it would be cool if we did because that man is clutch, no doubt. I think he's the new closer now.
Ooh.
Well, maybe not the new closer. I think that's a little too far, but I think you guys get my point.
Yeah. Well, Blaney had a good run too, and he needed the win to get in. Also, they were up from 1-2 for last caution and everything. They worked their way back up again. Man, Blaney, he's just had a lot of great runs this year. Just hasn't been able to get a win. Larson, he ended up finishing second. I know Bell led a good bit of laps. He led about if I'm correct, he led 150.
Yeah.
So, what did the people have to say?
88% said great, 13% said good. Nobody said miss, that's okay. Nobody said bad. Let's see. We got Henry24257 says better than the spring race, but not by much. No, it's way better than the spring race. Dalton.malak_9 said pretty quiet all the way until about 50 to go. Chastain's move for the win was insane. Exactly. Silver A Dojo says first time at Martinsville, lived up to the hype, and then the absolute dog Ross finish. Aaron Din H112 says when Ross video gamed.
Yeah, he did.
Henry24257 says for the Chastain pass, holy cow, the greatest move ever. Wow.
I know we're praising cows over here, but okay.
Dalton.malak_9 says insane and awesome. Aaron Din H says wild and 60s and 70s NASCAR and Dio G Raiders both said insane.
Huh.
Jinx.
Wow, that is crazy. But 2 people said the same thing.
Driver of the day, Ross. I don't know. I somewhat agree with it, but at the same time, Hamlin had the more dominant car. He led 203 laps. I don't know, man. I don't know. This is tough.
Yeah. Well, Hamlin did lead the most laps. He couldn't get the job done, which he doesn't.
Yeah, I just want to say that is the most Hamlin way to lose a Final Four spot. Somebody just makes like one of the best passes in history. I mean, God.
And can we talk about Brad Keselowski? He went from 4th to 36th. Is one of his only good runs this year after spinning out earlier after contact from Ross. DNQ'd.
Keselowski pack.
Oh boy, that's gonna offend some people. Well, I wouldn't say some people, probably only one. But anyways, driver today, I'm gonna give it to Ross. I know I'm biased here with this because he's like one of my top favorite drivers, but yeah, I gotta give it to Ross. I mean, to make that strategic of a move and to be that daring and doing what you have to do to get in while putting your car on the line like that, it's insane. I have to give it to him.
I actually just saw this great point from a NASCAR fan 2000. He said, Ross Chastain won me over today. He's changing the sport. No one's ever been as daring as him, and not because of today's race. He just needs to limit himself from crashing other people. If he can do that, his impact on the sport will be as big as Dale Earnhardt and Kyle Busch. I completely agree with that point.
Yeah, I do. I would compare him to Earnhardt, but I definitely say like a Kyle Busch comparison. Good,
Right.
but of course Chastain is not like Kyle Busch.
He. That's why he's the GOAT.
Anyway, speaking of sus, we got memes of the week. We got a couple interesting ones. So one of my favorite ones, even though it is very sus, is Ross post race from Tremendation. What about you?
Can we post that?
Probably not, but we'll give it.
Okay. I will watch that and look at it. But my favorite meme of the week was one by Dank NASCAR Memes. Here it is.
Did that when I was 8 years old, and I grabbed
That video clip of that streamer dude making those like weird car noises, that is definitely the perfect video to be on that video. I have a meme of the Herbies on the fence thing with Ross Chastain's video, but I'm not going to make it because I don't feel like it. But yeah, pretty good.
NASCAR Nick also had a very solid meme of the finish there. I don't remember what TV show that was from, but yeah, that was pretty solid one. Then what about the one I made about me? I wouldn't let that slide, so I mean, I had to make a little bit of a meme of that too. Let's see. Did I have any other nominees? Didn't have any in my notes, so no. I guess we don't have any other memes of the week. So I guess we'll move on to Phoenix unless we have any news.
I think we're good on the news. Let's get started with talking about the final week of the NASCAR season. Man, time flies.
Yeah.
Let's see. So for the truck race, I'm looking for my race pick right now. I don't know if it will be the guy winning the championship or not, so I'm just looking at it. I should have done this earlier, but I didn't. My championship pick is between one of the Smiths. I don't know which one, but a Smith will win the championship, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember who I picked off the top of my head. We may have to add that in when you edit because we made our picks at the beginning of the playoffs, but Chandler Smith, we mentioned this around the Pocono, after the Pocono race, like how strong he was. He's definitely going to be up there. Ben Rhodes. I don't remember if I picked Ben Rhodes or Zane Smith. It was one of them two to win it all. But I won't be surprised if it was Ben.
I'm going to go with Chandler Smith. You know what? Chandler Smith is winning the championship and the race.
Wow. All right, we got Xfinity next. We have the final four drivers are Gregson, Ty Gibbs, Josh Berry, and Justin Allgaier. I think we all picked Gregson to win this. He has 8 wins on the season, 20 top fives, 25 top tens. And he's led 975 laps, which is pretty crazy for a Xfinity Series season. So I would say give it to Gregson, and I will say he will win the race also. And I think whoever wins the race in the Xfinity and Truck Series will win the championship.
I have to agree with you. I'm also picking Noah Gragson to win the race and easily the championship. He's just had such a dominant season. He won here in the spring, and led 114 laps so easily. I'm picking Noah Gragson. Now for the Cup race. Now remember, we have a bet going on. Whoever gets the championship pick wrong has to dance on IG Live. This is going to be very tough for me because my favorite driver, Joey Logano, and Christian's favorite driver, Ross Chastain, are both in the championship 4.
Yep.
But I'm not picking Joey Logano. I'm going against him, even though I do believe he has a very, very great chance of winning it. And honestly, I think it's between Logano and Elliott. A little bit of bias there, but I think Bell could do good as well. I don't know about Chastain as much, but I do think that Bell has a decent shot, but it's really going to come down to Logano and Elliott, mainly because of the experience and how good they are at Phoenix. I think Chase Briscoe will win the race and Chase Elliott will win the championship.
Dang. Well, you took my pick, Mike. Come on, dude. But yeah, I picked Chase Elliott to win the championship and be in the playoffs. If I'm wrong, I guess if we're both wrong, we're both gonna have to dance. This goes for Cam too, and we know who he picked, so we'll go back and find that. But yeah, the race. So I'm not going to go Briscoe, even though I thought he was probably. I'm just going to say no because you did. I'm going to say Ryan Blaney picks up the win in the race and Chase Elliott wins championship.
All right. And so with that will conclude this week's episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. Comment, like, subscribe. Make sure you guys follow our socials. Follow the new Onboards account, Onboards Archive. And we will see you guys in the next episode. Peace.